Hello and welcome to the 12th episode of my Harbinger developer commentary. Today we're going into the Undertown sewers to hopefully find the blue wool or the next intersection. Spoiler, it might be both. I did some digging to get some blocks because we're going to need blocks for this area and I didn't really bring any with me. So yeah, let's start off by coming up here because I imagine I put a spawner or two on the rafters. Or maybe I didn't. Maybe I was kind this time. Well, let's use these vines to make our way down. There may well be some indicators in this area. Spoiler alert. And Vindicators are another mob that basically all of them get slightly weakened. So they're not as bad as they are in vanilla gameplay, just because they are very powerful. And spawners, I probably should have edited the spawner just to make fewer of them. But yeah, they're pretty scary at times. So I just weakened them all, basically. But drowns are still not a threat at all. And I'm seeing strays with enchanted bows. So let's try and pick those off before they get to us. Or not. Something broke. My helmet is gone. I do not have anything to replace it with, so I will simply not replace it. And let's... Oh, I was about to say let's break that spawner before it spawns again, but instead it just released 3 more strays at me. And they seem to have very good range. It would be nice if flame arrows actually lit up spawners. It would make it much harder to balance maps. Although I guess you could just disable the flame enchantment and that would get around it, unless you wanted to give the player that feature. I don't know. Maybe there's probably a data pack that does it, because that's the sort of thing where it places a torch wherever you shoot a flame arrow or something. And if there isn't, maybe I should make one. And then maybe that can be my first data pack project. Right. Yeah, I used one data pack in the original version of Harbinger, but it didn't make it into the updated version, or possibly it's just a 1.16 issue. I am pretty... Basically, I just didn't know how both data packs worked, so I kind of wanted to keep the map feeling more like an old school map, and the more commands and data packs you use, the kind of less that effect is. But or can be if you're not careful. But also I just didn't know what I was doing. So yeah. I did not see the creeper behind me. Thankfully I do have blast protection 4 on, so yeah, we're pretty safe from regular creepers at least. The charge creepers still a bit more of a threat, but I don't think there's any of those in this area particularly. Someone complained that there is a big lava pit in the sewer. Yeah, you're not wrong. What I would say though is, shut up. Basically this is here so that you... just to break up this tunnel a bit, because otherwise the tunnel's a bit repetitive. And there is some loot down there if you want to go, but there's also blazes, so I'm not going to bother. And let's see if we can jump over to this lamppost. We can, but then we kept going. So yeah, so these have, I think they have weakness, or should do, regardless. They also drop emeralds, which is the sort of thing I should probably disable with a data pack, but I've not done. Break that cave spider spawner. Like so. And we're almost at the end of this tunnel now, which is basically just a transition tunnel into this area. Which I can't remember if the Vexes survived the final set of changes, but there used to be Vexes in this area, and people absolutely hate Vexes. They're also like pretty strong actually, because Vexes have oh, I didn't realise there were silverfish. Vexes have iron swords, I think, or iron axes. No, iron swords. So they actually do quite a lot of damage, which, yeah, whoever designed them is a bit of a psychopath. But one thing that I think Render does in some of his maps is gives, if he's using Vexes early on, then he gives them just takes the iron sword out of their hand and gives them something else, which is probably a good way of balancing them. Because I like the idea of a mob that you can't just pillar up from, but it's still a melee mob. You can't just hide in a corner. But I think Vexes leave a little to be desired design-wise. Get some extra blocks, sure, and some blue ice as well. Yeah, you can go away. Let's break that spawner quickly. Oh, that is a lot of silverfish. Let me out, please. All of a sudden, just being absolutely murked by silverfish. I was hoping there might be a flint and steel there. How do I want to deal with these silverfish? Please go away. They're just so hard to hit. That's the annoying thing about them. Thankfully, our sword is good enough that it pretty much kills them in one hit, as long as you have a fully charged swing. More unnecessary armor damage. Yeah, we're running out of this chest plate, but I don't know when I'm going to be able to. Well, actually, yeah, it's not that long until I can go back to the victory area. Let's just let that creeper kill a few of them. I thought this sword was a one-hit kill. Perhaps it is not. It is with a crit, it seems. My word, I should not have let that creeper blow up. Right, let's just run away from them, because that's what I want to do. The nice thing about silverfish is you can just punch your way past them. Suicide spider there. There you go. Another dead spawner. There actually isn't much to see here, so I could just run away. But let's retreat a bit and hopefully pick off a few with our bow, if we can hit. A few mobs, that was an incomplete thought. Let's top up our saturation and then continue our murder spree, hopefully. Yeah, we should have pretty much everything in this area now, really. There's a few more spawners and stuff, but I'm not too bothered about those. I'm just going to get these two. And yeah, where we're heading is in there. Down into this pit of... Is this the silverfish spawner? Possibly. Right, so let's head. And that is our chest plate gone. Which means we are now very susceptible to mobs. Let's try and break out of here quickly and get this spawner. Yeah, so I assume these ones, because they spawned in water or something, work, but, or maybe it's our Y elevation. What are we at now? 52? Yeah, I think mobs, or drowns that spawn at below Y64 work, but then any that spawn above Y64 don't. It's a bit of a weird mechanic. I think drown spawners still, they've been sort of fixed, and husk spawners have been fixed and stuff now, but yeah, only sort of fixed, as is the way, and they still only spawn below 64, so hopefully that gets sorted in one of the coming updates, but you never know. Efficiency 2 book, not that useful. Let's get rid of all this junk. We'll keep the emerald, I suppose. And we'll take a splash speed potion, why not? Yeah, the way splash potions work is it's done by how close they are to your head. So using them at your feet is not a very efficient way to get as much as possible from a splash potion. Right, let's just plow on, I think. Yeah, because even now they've like half work, but only sometimes. I don't know. It's all a bit weird with drowned spawners, and it's a shame because thematically they're quite useful as a mob, and it's good to have like water mobs other than guardians. But yeah, drowns leave something to be desired, and yeah, drowns leave something to be desired is basically the whole point. And I don't really like trident drowns either, because they're a bit annoying. They are the skeletons of the sea, so I don't really use those either. I mean, there are water areas in the map, but not many, and I tend to try and avoid them. Right, I'm going to go this way first. So basically, if you go that way, that's the wool. And if you go this way, it leads towards the next intersection, although it doesn't actually get there. But because this leads to the next intersection, or at least leads to a kind of halfway house. Oh, see, he's just running towards the water, even when it looks like he's trying to get you. Yeah, so this one is... There's a teleporter back to the victory area, and we'll be able to top up our armor before we carry on any further. One of the nice things about drowns dropping gold, though, is that it means there's a kind of protection against somehow losing all the gold. I mean, there's far too much gold in the map for you to have an issue with that, but just generally, like, zombies dropping iron and drowns dropping gold means there's protection for the mineral blocks, at least. Why is there a cave spider spawner there? That's very rude. As is hitting me. Particularly rude. And some more blocks. Right, yeah. So, if we... Please go away. I don't know where he spawned, but I would like to stop him spawning, if possible. yeah, we'll be going through there soon. Right. Yeah, so there's a fast travel to Victory, which brings us out in this blue station. So if we head all the way back this way, dig, 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 dig. I think I sunk that one in quite far because of how because as soon as you know that they're hidden in the walls, like, I didn't want people digging to find them, basically. Right. I'm going to pause the recording, re-gear, get a helmet and a chest plate, and then I'll be back with you in just a moment. Okay, I did some enchanting and used up most of my levels, and now I also repaired my pants. So we've got projectile protection 4, protection 2, protection 1, and protection 3 on the helmet. I managed to get 2 protection 2 helmets, so combined those together. Yeah, and I also repaired up my pick, and I've got a spare sword just in case, I suppose. Did I do anything else? No, not really. Just cleaned out my inventory effectively. Right, so let's head back to... This looks so good. This little 3x3 of hardened clay. That is exactly what peak performance looks like. Right, so we're back in here. That way leads towards the intersection. There's a bit more of a transition area. The intersection is actually almost directly above us, kind of that way. But you kind of loop around and come back on yourself a bit. What was in here? Just rails, right? Yeah. Anything else to say about this area? Yeah, this sewer area is actually a void area eventually, and it wasn't initially intended to be. And then I copied it in with MC Edit because I had it planned to be an area for a different map that never ended up getting finished. But as quite an early area, I think it was going to be like Orange Wall or something. So I copied it in too low, and it became a... Yeah, so you can see Vindicators don't actually do that much damage. Probably like 1 or 2 hearts to us now. And we've got decently enchanted gear, so, you know, that's worth remembering. But also, they are not as strong as Vindicators can be. Let's block off here and just come down this way. I don't remember the way through this maze. It all kind of links around and loops up and down. Well, this is going to give me the bad omen effect. Let's come down this way. Yeah, and then I copied it in too low, and I could have repasted it because MC Edit was... I'd had a backup and everything, but I actually quite liked the change of it being a void area. It makes it just like slightly harder and fits it being the blue wool area rather than just the orange wool that it was designed to be initially. Right, let's break you and then block you off. Put you there as well. Yeah, so they used to be more Vindicator spawners, but people don't like them, so I switched them to be a few of them to be zombie spawners, which just kind of reduces the jeopardy of this, again, quite claustrophobic area. Also, all these ceilings were too high, and now they are mostly 3 high, but with these sort of extra bits. How am I missing him every time? Let's get rid of you. I think we have accidentally found our way through. Yeah, so you can see there's some void, basically, which just kind of adds to the jeopardy of the area in quite a good way, I think. Right. And just coming out this way is probably not that sensible. How do I want to approach this? Let's come down this side, I guess. Can see some spider eyes, and I don't know if they're baby spiders or not, but I'm hoping they are not. I want to go that way first because that way is a special item, I believe, and the wall is that way. No, those are definitely baby spiders, but they're in the void now, so that's good. Right, let's come over and break the spawner quickly before it goes again. And I definitely do not want to fall in the void. I do have my ender pearls on my hotbar, but whether I should move them closer, I probably should. There aren't too many like skeletons or anything in this section of the map, but down that hallway I think there might be. And here we find the first very overpowered weapon in the map. Let's hate how Minecraft doesn't like work around that. Yeah, so I think this has some hidden attributes that basically mean it 2-hit kills everything. So it's pretty powerful, and it also has obviously mending, and it's unbreakable. It's unbreakable, and it has mending, which people thought was a bit redundant, and it is redundant. But also mending 5 is redundant, and it gives you a speed boost. So I'm not going to use it for this area because it will probably end up killing me if I have that speed boost. But yeah, any of those gold weapons are pretty overpowered. If you run the numbers, they don't actually look that good. Like Smite 5 Golden Axe is not amazing, but they do have boosted attack damage. I just hit it with, it's a hidden attribute, which I would do again, but I'd want there to be more, like at least something to tell the player that there are hidden attributes to them. The problem with this is like you can see all the enchantments, but you can't see the attributes, and therefore people assume that you haven't made it. Yeah, they assume that you haven't made it better than it is, if that makes sense. You haven't boosted up the damage of anything. Right, thankfully AI doesn't really know how to deal with void, so it just sees it as a 1-block drop, I think. Void areas still just make me very nervous. I didn't want to do the handrails, but you know, needs must. Strays are bad. That's my. I'm gonna wait until this next set spawns, I think. Before I progress any further. I didn't even see that one up there. Thankfully he dropped off into the void, and so should hopefully be able to break this spawner. And I'm just going to leave that one. Do I have any more? I do have more blocks, but are they... Quickly break that and place these. Right, that should be, I mean, we're pretty much at the wall now. So yeah, this dungeon isn't very hard or hugely long. There's I think a little bit more. Yeah, there's one more area, but it's pretty straightforward once you're past those strays, I think. Because there's much less void in this area, although there are many more Vindicators. Infinitely more if you are talking multiplicatively. That is the sort of word that if I'm writing it, I would never get it wrong. And then when you try and say it out loud, you're like, multiplicativity. Multiplicatively. As in if you multiply, because there were no Vindicators in the previous room and there were just strays. That's all I'm trying to say. It's not a very complicated concept, but here we are. Right. Multiplicatively. Anyway, sorry, I will stop. I will stop. I can hear them. They're over there. But I'm just going to avoid them for now. With their ha-has. Like an old French man in a village drinking wine at the patisserie or something. And they don't tend to drink wine at patisseries, but they do drink wine at lunchtime, which I can respect. Ooh, I did not know he was going to be there. And that worries me, because I didn't know where he came from. Let's just tunnel up to the wall and grab it. Yeah, so we get the blue wool, and we can now leave this hateful place. Doing that in a void area with one thick floor is probably not the most sensible thing, but yeah, we broke the other two, didn't we? So we should be fine doing that. And now let's just grab our bonus ender pearls and some bottles of enchanting. I'm going to leave most of these extra blocks because I don't really need them. I don't need the ominous banners either. Yeah, let's go. All good. Got the blue wool, and unless we have any trouble getting out from here, there are still spawners in this room, but hopefully we get through this without too many issues. And then we can make our way to intersection 4, and then I'll end the episode once we get to intersection 4, hopefully. Let's swim up here. I do love the new swimming. It's not really new anymore. It was what, 1.13. But the swimming is just such a good change, because otherwise water areas are just so, or just anything with water in is just so bad. We'll take the bed, sure. And now we need to try and find our way out, which, yeah, this is the way. Like so. This is a little bit mazy, but actually not that difficult to get through as long as you just block off and carry on. And now we should be home and free. I've still got a shulker box at the beginning of purple to grab, but I'll do that off camera. I don't think, did we die in a way that I would have lost it? We did. I can't remember, but hey, I'm going to go back and drop off the this this wool before I end up dying and losing it, because I don't want to have to go back into that void area. Yeah, so I will pause the recording and come back once I'm back at the rail station near the Undertown sewers. Okay, here we are. I am now using my ancient hatchet, so we can give this a test and see how much damage it does. And there is the spawner. I couldn't see it before, but we've still managed to disable it. So yeah, some people try and dig through the gravel there. There's nothing there, but I can see why they do that. Let's see. Yeah, 2-hit kill. Let's say pretty good start. And I am nice enough. I've made you do enough swimming through. That annoys me a bit. Podzol doesn't die from random ticks. It stays alive. I tried my best to get rid of most of that, but obviously not hard enough. What you can, basically the way to do it is to change it all to grass. Set random tick speed to 1000 so that it kills all of this. And then, come on, get out of my boat, man. If I break my boat, I'll be really annoyed. Yeah, and then change it back to Podzol, basically, is the easy way to stop it from doing that. And a bit of boat stuff here as well, which I was trying to place a torch on the wall, but I should probably just not bother. Right. Oh, let's just... I'm generally not very good with boats in Minecraft, so yeah, hopefully we can just... I'm trying to get up there, but I might just cheat. Yeah, I'm going to cheat. At least for this first bit. So if you can just swim up this waterfall, but also if you come in here, there is a bubble column that will just shoot you all the way up. Some people said this completely removes the point of the dungeon, and it does. And I don't really care, because bubble columns are fun. And there's, I think, a magma column there. And the slowness doesn't affect me too much because I have a hatchet. You are very rude, sir. Where am I getting shot from? And then I'm not sure which way you're meant to go here again. There is another bubble column in these things, so if you do wish to cheat, again, you can. Because it's just a transition area, I'm not that bothered. But hopefully it just kind of adds a bit of gameplay to doing a transition. I don't know. And makes it... The reason I made it like this, and rather than just having a much shorter transition, because like the actual distance is not very far. That Vindicator is not dying quickly. Right, let's get out of here. Yeah, the reason I made it a bit longer is just to make it feel a bit more epic when you reach the final intersection. I wanted to like have a bigger build up to it and really make you work for it. And all the areas in the final intersection are much bigger than the average area in the map. I mean, I've been recording for 35 minutes and I've done the entire blue wall, as well as made my way mostly all the way to here. So yeah, you kind of see that some of these areas are just not that long. But when you get into kind of the later parts of the map, it really does. You kind of really have to work for them a bit more. I thought right, let's just get rid of you. You have to kind of work for the wall a bit more. The areas are longer, and harder, obviously. And so I kind of wanted to build up to that with this transition area where you actually have to kind of work hard to get to where you want to go, and hopefully makes the last intersection feel like you've earned it a bit more. Yeah, I also think this looks cool, and these big like sewer type things are just a fun way of doing it. Whether the grass makes any sense, I probably should have done podzol rather than grass, but hey. Or made it not swamp grass, because swamp grass actually looks quite nice, but maybe like badlands grass or something would have been better. Oh well. Yeah, so then we've just got this little cave, and we come out into what is the final intersection, marked by some blue concrete. And I'm gonna turn my video settings up quite a long way, because otherwise this area you just can't really see it. Don't make intersections this big. It's pointless and a waste of time. This was the intersection I made first, in a separate project or a separate map or a separate world, sorry, and then ended up pasting it in here. It's very much the like far too big. Even at 16 chunk render distance, you can't see all the way across. Let's see how, if I go up to kind of 20, my computer will probably explode doing this, but hopefully you can, no, still not. 24, let's see. Yeah, so 24 chunk render distance, and it's struggling to hit the other side. So that's all you really have to know about how big this intersection is. Thankfully, I put in some teleporters, so you can teleport around the intersection, so it doesn't take as long as it otherwise would. And I really like it aesthetically. I think it's quite peaceful, and yeah, and it's like quite quaint. This is also a bell tower, I think. So if you happen to be here at the end of the day, it will go off. Or maybe the start of the day. I'm not exactly sure how I have it wired. But yeah, enormous. Waste of time. Don't do it. But I quite like it at the same time. Yeah, I also think I manually bone mealed everything in this intersection. So all of the grass is manual bone mealing, because I didn't have a brush to do it with at the time of making. So again, complete waste of time. However, it looks nice. So I'm going to head down here, and I will end the episode at the middle of the intersection. Let's drop our video settings, not our brightness. Let's drop our video settings back to, let's try 8, as we're not actually fighting anything. Bit of a stutter there. Yeah, the other thing about having these like ancient weapons is that they do, or a lot of them give you a speed boost of different sizes, but it just makes traversing some of the larger areas in the map that bit easier. Right, let's come down here and up into this final section, which tells you where the last 9 emeralds can come from. I quite like doing the book for this, because it allows you to check back, and also because the first book is only 1 page long or 2 pages long. People read it. I have a bit of a pet peeve with CTM maps, and I'm not saying I didn't do this in this one, but a lot of them, the start of them are just reading simulators. Like, you open it up and there's 10 pages of credits, and then 10 pages of like instructions about special items, and instructions about what different things do in the map, and I think that's a really bad way of doing it. I think you should limit yourself to 3 pages per book, if possible, and you should also, like, if it takes more than 3 pages, it either deserves its own book or isn't worth saying, because people aren't going to read 7 pages of credits, really. Like, if you watch a YouTube series of people playing a CTM map, and this is a complete tangent, obviously this isn't really relevant to this book here, because this is just a list of where all the emeralds are. So you only have to check it when you want to check it. But if you watch kind of CTM maps, either it just makes the start of the map really slow because you've got to read everything before you get into it, or people just don't read it and they skip over it. So yeah, I think a 3-page rule is a good thing to follow. Again, not one that I've followed for this map, but I probably will in future. And the other thing is, if you're explaining like core mechanics, like these legendary weapons, I just didn't bother to explain this one, because I think the player can just sort of find out that it's really good. But if you're explaining stuff like that, just wait a little bit until after the start, because people don't want information overload. They want to start playing, and then maybe 10-15 minutes into the map, then you can add explanations. I think that's a much better way of doing it, really. There are reeds here, so we can finally get our enchanting table maxed out. There are also lapis mines, so this is lapis and redstone, and there's a different mine in each corner of the intersection, so you can get infinite iron here, infinite gold, infinite lapis. I mean, it's not infinite, but pretty much infinite lapis. Yeah, all sorts. Let's come up here. I really like these towers and everything as well. I think the intersection looks really cool. I can't remember where I got the ideas for these, but like, it's just weird. There's no need for it, but it's weird and it's fun because of that. Right. Oh yeah, I've left my blade in the end chest and broken ladders, but you can just warp. So yeah, here we are on the central plaza. And the fast travel is that way, so if we want to go to back to the Jaws of Victory, which I probably will, we can go that way. And we've got the Sacré-Cœur, which is a place in Paris, actually, which I base that area on. The Diversify, entirely original idea. Pan's Labyrinth. It would be better if it had a real bread theme, but I wanted a pain and then pan as in French bread. Yeah, it's a bad pun. Sue me. And then Durz's Retreat. So Durza is the demon who supposedly destroyed the world. He's also one of the shades in Aragon, which is where I got the name from. So it's a slight reference to that as well. Right, I've been going for 43 minutes and have achieved everything I wanted to achieve in this episode. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.